canine offset on one side, and then I'll go to the other side and kind of guess where I think the canine offset's going to be. So I have something that looks like that, and I'll just kind of hold it on one side where it's supposed to be, and I'll measure it to the other, grab my pin and leg cutter, and cut it to the right length. So you can see what those canine offsets look like. And so I just did that outside the mouth. And we're getting close. It needs to be bent a little closer to the centrals and adapted to the canine there. So I'm just going to add a little bit of curvature in the front. We're getting close there. Gonna have to make a little offset for the lateral. So I'm just gonna measure that. And every patient's a little different, so you just have to practice doing this so you can get it just right. That's probably close enough. And we'll check everything out across there. Still off the centrals because the centrals are just a little bit forward. I'm going to make a little adjustment there.
Anise. It's anise.
And that's close enough now on that side. Okay, so I'm going to adapt the canine in some. Check to see if it's all on the same plane. It just barely lifts off that canine, so I'm going to make that bend closer up here where it's last touching the tooth. And that's flush. That's right against the tooth. And we're going to go with that. That looks pretty good. And it's off the gingiva. You want to make sure it's at least a millimeter or two off the gingiva. Very lightly with the diamond burr. I'm just going to touch the teeth because you get a biofilm on the teeth. Even if they just had a cleaning, there's still just a little surface layer of tartar. And I'm really not taking any enamel off. I'm just taking that little gray surface of the tooth off. When you look, if you hold the lip down, the light shines through the tooth, and you can see that gray layer come off as you're polishing. So again, we're not prepping the tooth for a crown, especially when we're only doing a fake retainer. And relax your lip just a little bit. So we'll set 2 cotton rolls in to hold the lip off the teeth as best we can. And I'm gonna fake etch those teeth. So we're gonna etch all 6 teeth. Or we'll do the bond. So we're gonna wait 30 seconds, and we're actually gonna wait 30 seconds, even though we're fake etching them. So you'll notice my finger is between the tongue and the teeth. And even if I take my eyes off the teeth, I can kind of tell if she's, you know, got a wild tongue. Because if she's got a wild tongue now, later, when we've got the wire in there and everything, they're going to be doing the same thing. So I'm just kind of gauging how active and agitated the patient is by keeping my tongue there, my finger there on their tongue. And we're good to go. I like to do the suction and the water because I have complete control over everything and where the water's going, just so that we don't get a mouthful of water. And if they get etch on their tongue, then they start salivating. So I'm going to rinse that off. And I never take my eyes off the teeth. As soon as you take your eyes off the teeth, the patient knows it somehow, and their tongue will go lick the teeth. So dry them real good. Give them one last good inspection to make sure they're frosty white. They're not because we didn't etch them, but Ortho Solo. You can't have too much. If you have too much, you got to bleed off some on your glove, and you put Ortho Solo on there. Not touching the gingiva, because if you do, you're going to track saliva up onto the teeth. And remind the patient, just stay open. You're doing perfect right where you're at. We put the floss in under the contact. And on this side. And your assistant will hand you the wire, and you slide it in. It's not going to fit, so you got to adjust it. Most common thing is that the floss is going to pull it down too low, so you have to lift it up. And that is good right there. If I pull, it's going to mess it up. So intuitively you would think, yeah, I need to hold it in place with the floss. No, that's going to move it. You want the floss there just to give you an extra hand to just secure it. Can you get me some more composite? Your assistant should have a brand new composite carpule in the gun so you don't run out midstream, because time is of the essence. Patients getting agitated, they're going to want to close their mouth, they're going to start filling up with saliva. So you've really got to practice this and get it down quick. So you just wipe a little bit on every tooth. The amount takes practice to get it right. If you don't get it right, you've got to wipe off some of the excess, or if you have to add more later. I'm being very careful not to disturb the wire because it's not secure. The floss is not holding it, nothing's holding it. I'm going to start with the canines just to get the two ends secure. So those are secure. I'm going to go back and get these all around it. Just kind of getting everything generally where I want it. And Alyssa has the Ortho Solo there in case I need to dab a little more. Okay, now we are ready for the mirror because I can't see under the wire. And I'm far from done. So I'm getting this off the contacts, making sure it's off the gingiva, at least a millimeter between the composite and the gingiva. Making sure I don't have any streaks that go up to the incisal edge. And making sure the ends of the wire are covered. If it's not, it'll start to fray, and then you'll have an emergency appointment in 3 months. And that looks good. The longer you let it sit there, the more the composite is going to naturally smooth out on its own. Just like if you pour water on a table, it will naturally start to kind of coalesce into pools. The composite will do the same. If we let it sit there for another 30 seconds, it would kind of smooth out on its own. You don't want to have to go back and polish with the burr if you don't have to. So the pink's gone, you can hand it to the assistant. The assistant's going to finish curing it, and we're done. And then the assistant has to go over all the instructions.